to our very first taste of Shabbos. This is really very, very exciting. This is a brand new series that we're doing, and I want to explain the series to you so you could understand what's going to be happening tonight and the next few weeks. First of all, I want to welcome everybody this evening. We have people from all over. I have people I see already from Missouri, Queens, who's running the program tonight with me. It is just going to be amazing. Once people, if you put things in the chat, I could say hello to you. As of now, we have 134 people here with us tonight, and it's just going to keep on growing and growing. I got Highland Park. Hi, Highland Park. Okay, so what's a taste of Shabbos? As we all know, Shabbos is really very special. Shabbos is a really special day, but what makes it even more special is the foods that we eat and the delicacies that we eat. And fish is the very first dish that we're going to be discussing tonight. And fish has special significance. And you're going to hear throughout the evening, you're going to hear people talk about why Shabbos means so much to them. We're going to learn how to make 2 specific fish recipes. And we're going to hear some fish tips. We're going to hear about some customs in reference to fish. So what does fish have to do with Shabbos? Well, listen very carefully. You ready? When you catch a fish, after you catch a kosher fish, there's not much left you have to do. Of course, you want to clean it. You don't want to eat a dirty fish. But in reference to meat and chicken, there's so much to do to prepare that fish, but to prepare that food. But for fish, there's no preparation for that. Just like Shabbos. Shabbos is something special, unique. It has its holiness. It's there for everyone to catch onto it. Everybody could grab hold, just like you could grab hold onto that fish, and afterwards there's not much to do with it. Well, guess what? Shabbos is the same thing. Shabbos, you can grab hold onto it. No matter who you are, no matter where you are in your life, it doesn't matter. You could grab onto Shabbos and make it your own. And that's what we're going to hear from people tonight, how they've grabbed onto different aspects of Shabbos, how they've grabbed on to different aspects of Judaism and made it their very own. So without further ado, I want to call on our very first participant of the evening. She's all the way from Canada, Lisa. Lisa, can we have a spotlight on Lisa all the way from Canada, who's going to share some Shabbos inspiration with us? Lisa, how are you? So what part of Canada are you from, Lisa?
I'm from Pickering, which is just outside of Toronto. So
okay,
for those of you
who
I usually just say Toronto. It's easier, especially for anybody south of here.
Yes. So go ahead. Tell us about Shabbos a little bit.
Aloha. Hi. So it's interesting to look at Shabbos and things like fish. And fish has such a both as a food and as a theme is sort of interwoven through so many aspects of Judaism. The custom of eating fish on the Sabbath and on special occasions goes back to our very origins as a people. There are records of the Israelites complaining to Moses about the lack of the variety of food available to them in the desert. Sounds like my grandmother a little bit of blessed memory. Complaining if the fish wasn't cooked just right. And there's lots of records that say that back in Egypt, when we were enslaved, we had access to fish. And it's interesting, you know, the manna in the desert had every conceivable taste apparently, except for fish. So when we were free after that, after we were in Israel and then further throughout the diaspora, the lack of fish in the desert has become a sort of a focus of our dissatisfaction. And now it's become our custom to eat this for celebrations and for Shabbat. Gefilte fish itself may actually trace back to our days in Egypt, as it appears that the same fish population has not substantively changed in the last 5,000 years. You can still find the same sort of mullet in the rivers of the Nile that you could back then. So it's probably a very interesting way that the history has flowed through time and passed down dishes like gefilte fish, preserved fish that our people were able to make thousands of years ago. There's some people who on Rosh Hashanah as well display a whole cooked fish to represent the head of the year. And to say the blessing, that we should be like heads, not like tails. Fish are also a fertility symbol. The first time in the Torah that God speaks to any living creature, the speech is directed at fish. In Genesis, it says, God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply and fill the waters of the sea. The Torah uses fish to connotate fertility and abundance. And this is where we leap into having fish tied to Shabbat. We find in that same story of creation that 3 things were blessed on successive days. The fish blessed on the 5th day, man blessed on the 6th day, and the 7th day being Shabbat. So those things are all tied together, and we come and we get to see that every Friday. Fish is symbolic of the holiness of Shabbat. It's readily accessible to all. As Jordana just pointed out, once caught, it's ready for use, just unlike other meats and things that have to be kosher. Similarly, Shabbat is there for all of us with minimal preparation required. Comes around every week. No matter how ready we are, we too can just dive in and enjoy those blessings.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And without further ado, we are going to go to our first cook of the evening. We have Esther. Esther, please let us know, what are you making tonight? If you could focus on Esther, and then we have the slide. There's Esther. Hi, Esther. Do we want to show the slide? Let's see the slide first of the food that she's going to make. Esther, give us a chance so everyone could see. And then if you'd like, we're going to also put in the chat later the 2 recipes for tonight. This is the cod recipe. Lisa, can I ask you a question? I don't think I've ever tasted cod.
What did you say?
Could you tell us a little bit of what's it like? The texture, is it different than other types of fish cod?
Yes, it is. It's very flaky. It's a lighter type of fish. I just want to show you how it looks like here. I just seasoned it with a little salt and pepper, but it's a lighter fish than a regular salmon. It's very high in protein. It lowers, if you have high blood pressure or cholesterol, it helps with lowering that. So I love cooking with very light, flaky fish, such as cod. So
okay, so it's a very healthy fish. Okay,
very healthy fish. Very healthy fish.
Okay.
High in protein. Very high in protein.
So
without further ado, we'll turn up the heat. So what you're going to need for the recipe here, I have about 1 pound of fish right here, 1 pound of cod, and I just cut it in 4 pieces. So it feeds about 4 people here as an appetizer side dish. And I have some flour here. I whisked 1 egg and about a cup of breadcrumbs and about a cup of oil. So here I'm using vegetable oil. You can use canola oil. You can use any kind of, I wouldn't use olive oil, but any kind of vegetable or canola oil would work just fine. And I also do a pepper succotash on top. So for that, you're going to need about half of a red pepper, half of an orange pepper, and about 1/4 of a red onion diced together. And I have that ready over here. And we'll throw that into another pan. So I'll start off with taking a piece of the cod. Again, I lightly seasoned it with salt and pepper. And we're going to do 3 dips. So the first one is flour. The second one is the egg wash. And the third one is the breadcrumbs. So very slowly. And it seems like my oil is nice and hot.
How do you know when the oil's ready to use? Is there a tip?
So I've had it on for about 5 minutes. And I want to feel the heat. If I put my hand on top, I want to be able to really feel the heat and make sure that it's hot. Because if you don't want to put anything in oil that's not very hot, because then the product, the fish, the chicken, it'll really absorb a lot of the oil. And you don't want to do that. You want to make it nice and crispy. So here I dip the cod in flour.
Okay.
And then I dip it into egg wash.
If I take some water and I sprinkle it into that oil and it sizzles, then it's ready.
Yes, you can do that as well.
Okay, but you just have to be
I have
careful.
so much.
You got to be careful when you do that. So.
Yes.
Okay, we're on the 3rd dipping.
Yep. Dip that in
Egg.
And what I also like to do is I like to just put the tip in just to see if it sizzles.
Okay, so there you go. That's
So you kind of see the oil sizzling, which is awesome. I don't know if you guys can see that.
very good.
Okay. And then I'll go in with my second piece very quickly. Again, flour, egg wash, breadcrumbs. And it's a really simple dish. I know a lot of, you know, people that make schnitzel, they use the same type of, you know, the flour, egg wash, and breadcrumbs. So I really like to fry a lot. And I have 3 boys and they love everything, you know, very deep fried. But I try to use lean meats such as cod and white
protein, boys.
breast.
Protein. Do you find
Yes,
that?
yes. And this is a great dish to get that protein, and it really fills you up, and it's nice and flaky inside, and it's not fishy, which is what I like. You know, it doesn't have that really strong fishy smell.
Oh, okay. So that's
kind of let that brown.
You're saying cod doesn't have a fishy smell, so that's also important to know.
Yeah, it should not be fishy.
Okay,
It's
excellent.
very light, flaky, and I love that it gets nice and crispy. So
We hear it. I hear it going in that pan.
yes. Sizzle with me. Sizzle with me.
It sounds good. And we see it now. Good focus on that fish. That looks great.
Okay, so when you see this nice brown color, you want to turn it over.
You know, it's interesting. Esther, somebody was saying how to their breadcrumbs, they add some flavoring to the breadcrumbs. Did you ever try doing that also? Or you
Yes, yes. So I actually put a really generous amount of salt and pepper to my cod, but a lot of times if I'm not too generous, I do salt and pepper on each of the dips. So you can add a little salt and pepper to both the flour and the egg wash and even the breadcrumbs.
And that's key.
That's
You pay
awesome.
careful attention to what Esther said. She salts and peppers the fish in advance. I have a funny story to tell you guys afterwards.
Okay, so while that's finishing up, I just want to bring you over here quickly. And this is what I call a pepper succotash. And it's basically, like I mentioned before, red pepper, green pepper, yellow pepper. You can put any kind of colors of pepper. And I like to use red onion because it's more flavorful and it's not as strong in taste as a regular white onion. So I also put that in a little oil, saute that up. You can add a little S&P, salt and pepper. And you want to saute this for probably, I would say, no longer than 5 minutes. You want it to still be crispy, but soft. And you want the onions to be semi-translucent. You don't want to burn it. You kind of want to, you know, just make it nice and juicy and crispy. Got a little lower. And let's see how our fish is doing.
Okay.
So I can make the heat a little higher.
Is it okay, Esther, while you do that, can we call on Victoria to give us some words of inspiration? We'll come back to you.
Sure.
Okay, so let's find Victoria. Elisa, if you can find Victoria to give us some words of inspiration on Shabbat. Oh, there you are. Hi, everybody. Here you from Victoria.
Hello. So I was asked to be part of the show, and I'm very honored. Thank you all. And as a chef, what I like to do, I like to connect to my food. And I like to have a better understanding of every ingredient, and especially every law. I'm a rookie. I've only started on my journey, a spiritual journey, not long ago. So I like to dig in, especially when it comes to kashrut laws and everything. I like to dig in a little bit deeper and get a better understanding of things. So I learned something that I wanted to share with you about fish. As we all know, fish, in order for it to be kosher, it has to have 2 things, right? It has to have fins and it has to have scales. So the part that I want to share with you is something that I read. The scales is just like the shield for us. Scales represent our integrity. In Torah, we talk about integrity very often. And as we all know, what we put out there is what comes back to us. And integrity is really, really, really big. So in fish, scales represent integrity. And those little fins that propel the fish to move forward, those fins represent ambition. And I thought it was such a cool way of thinking of the kashrut law when it comes to fish. is the scales being that shield that protects us, that integrity that we should all always have, and those fins propelling us to move forward, that ambition that we all pray that Hashem grants us. So I want to leave you guys, my speech is kind of short and sweet, and I want to leave you guys with a blessing that in an upcoming year from now on, in an upcoming year and forward, we all have, just like a fish, we're full of those scales of the integrity and ambition.
Amen. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to go back to the cooking now. Let's look at Esther. Esther, do you have like a finished product to show us? Hi.
Hi, guys. So
Oh, look at that. Everyone look at that. Doesn't that look yum? Oh my gosh.
You can garnish this with cilantro and dill. You can garnish this with some lemon. It's delicious.
Wow, what a way to start your Shabbat meal. Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you so much. And now we're going to send it off to Libby. Libby from Queens.
Oh, no.
Everybody should know that Libby was a really big leader in organizing this special first ever Taste of Shabbat. So we're so proud. Thank you, Libby, for all your hard work and getting it ready. She is going to show us salmon. Why don't we put up the recipe while we put together? Elise, you want to show up that slide of the type of salmon that she's going to be making for us tonight? Okay, that's sweet salmon. Sweet Philly salmon. That sounds yum. Okay, let's see it now.
Here. Tell me.
Okay, you're good.
You're on.
Libby, you're on.
Jordana, you can hear me?
Yes. We see you. You look gorgeous. So does the salmon.
Okay, we're starting a salmon, and for me, I don't do laws, I don't do anything. I'm gonna tell you, I love having people over for Shabbos meal. So having 15 people, 20 people, 30 people is not something unusual. So any dish that I pick has to be like fast. It has to be brainless, delicious presentation. It has to have everything, but especially speed. So for me, salmon is great. I learned from my friend, a good friend of mine, she never has salmon cut in slices. It's always like a big chunk of salmon. The presentation is fantastic, and the taste is just there. So what do we start with? We start with chili sauce, sweet chili sauce. You open it up. You just pour it on the fish. Pour it on generously, or whatever you want. Again, I don't do measurements. I don't do anything, although the recipe does give you measurements. Then I smear that on, just as easy as that. Oh, preheat your oven at 350. And then as simple as this. This is the panko crumbs. So I did panko crumbs.
Libby, can I ask you a question? Did you put anything on the salmon beforehand, or it was just plain? You didn't salt it?
Can I tell you, I don't do salt, I don't do pepper, because the sweet chili sauce has its taste of its own.
Okay.
And that will do you. That should do it fine. It's usually pretty sweet and spicy at the same time. The panko also usually has like some sort of spices. It's never that, I don't do plain panko. There's always a little bit something in that panko. Then you take your onions. So the onions, I have French's onions.
Okay. Right.
Easy enough. Just put that on top as much as you want, just to make it look pretty. And scallions, washed and checked, all done, just to make it look pretty. And then
they washed and checked, Libby. You want to explain to everyone what you mean by that?
So the way I was taught how to check scallions is that I threw it out already, but
what are you checking for? What are you checking for?
I'm checking, well, one, they have to be clean, and I'm checking for bugs.
Okay.
So I cut the tips of the scallion, then I slice the scallion in the center. I open each leaf and I wash it.
Okay.
And that's how I check for bugs.
Yeah, because we don't want to eat bugs, and also you're not supposed to eat bugs.
No. Then for color, I'm going to sprinkle on black sesame seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And voila, that's it. I think within seconds, the dish is done. My oven is already set at 350. No, it's not. I'm lying. I'm setting it right now. So, and then I just put that whole thing in the oven for 25 minutes.
Wow.
So that's going to go in the oven Jordana, I have a finished product. Do you want me to show you
Yes.
the finished product? Okay, hold on.
Finished product, and then we'll go to our next inspiration, and then we're going to come back to the two of you.
All right, so this is the finished product. That's it. I'll just stick a fork in there, and people will cut as much as they want. So I don't pre-cut, I don't do anything. I just set it there, and everybody takes what they want.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Libby. It looks fabulous. Thank you for all your hard work.
Love ya. Mwah, mwah.
Let's hear from Ina. Ina,
Hi guys.
could you find Ina? Oh, there
Hey,
she
hi everyone.
is. Okay, give us some inspiration, Ina. You're all the way from Brooklyn. I'm so happy
Yes.
to join us. And I see you have a keyboard. Can you play?
Just a little bit, but it's not about me playing today, it's about Shabbat. And I'm so excited to share some true story for you guys because it's something that I serve every Shabbat by my table between fish course and meat course. You need to have an excellent true story that can inspire others. Oh, and this is my granddaughter who is joining my show. My Shabbos dinner. Yes. So let me tell you a story, guys. In the mid-90s, a Jewish advertising executive wondered if the New York Times, you know, like New York Times, give me a second. Okay, we are on screen, okay? Printed the Shabbos candle lighting each week. Okay, so he contacted a Jewish philanthropist and sold him the idea. And it cost nearly $2,000 a week, like 3 lines. For the next 5 years, every Friday, Jews around the world would see Jewish women and girls light Shabbos candles today 18 minutes before sunset in New York at such time. And eventually, the philanthropist had to reduce the number of his projects. So in June 1999, the little Shabbos candle lighting notes stopped going, and at least like what people thought. On January 1st, 2000, New York Times ran a Millennium Edition commemorating the paper's 100th anniversary, and it was a special issue that featured 3 front pages. One contained the news from January 1st, 1900, the second actual news of the day, January 1st, 2000, and the third one was futuristic one, featured projects headlines of January 1st, 2100, and it included such stories as welcoming the 51st state, Cuba, or virtual Congress, or miniature dinosaurs as a pets, or debates over the issue whatever robots should be allowed to vote. And in addition to these creative articles, there was one little extra piece. And guess what, guys? Down at the bottom of the year 2100 front page was a candle lighting time in New York for January 1st, 2100. How crazy it is. Jewish women and girls light Shabbos candles today 18 minutes before sunset in New York at such time. What else were that for local times and information? Nobody asked for it, nobody paid for it. So it was like very curious, like what happened, whose idea it was. So production manager of New York Times, the Irish Catholic, was asked about this curious entry, and his answer just blew my mind. He answers that answer speaks for eternity of our people and to power of Jewish ritual like Shabbat. And that's what he said, that we don't know what will happen in the year 2100. It's impossible to predict the future, but one thing you can be certain, that in the year 2100, Jewish women and girls will be lighting Shabbos candles.
Oh,
so we're coming closer to 2100, lighting Shabbos candles and singing praise to Almighty. And we are so like fish that move against the current and keeping traditions alive and keep our eyes open to sing mitzvot and doing mitzvot. And we like fish, we love school, we love learning, and we love people. We like to live in community, and we multiply, Baruch Hashem, bringing keys to this life, to this world, to praise Hashem and keep our tradition alive. So keep Shabbat, guys.
Amen. Thank you. That was so beautiful. I loved that story. We're going to take it back to Libby now. Libby and Esther, they should be together in their kitchen, having their cod and their salmon. We could spotlight them. Just something so interesting before you guys schmooze it up, you have to unmute them. I just wanted to tell you the reason why I was asking constantly what you put on the fish before, and you got to hear this story. So I once had Moroccan fish at my father-in-law's house, and I fell in love with Moroccan fish. I just fell in love with it, and I so wanted to make it. And so I got the recipe on how to make Moroccan fish for my mother-in-law, and I made it. And I'm telling you, it looked amazing. It smelled amazing. But as soon as you tasted that Moroccan fish, it did not taste like the Moroccan fish it was meant to taste. So I called up my mother-in-law and I said, I don't understand. What's going on? It looks like your fish. It smells like your fish, but it doesn't taste like your fish.
Yeah.
She said, well, did you follow the recipe? I said, I followed the recipe exactly the way you told me. I wrote it down. She says, well, did you salt the fish beforehand? I said, salt the fish? You didn't put that in the recipe.
That's great.
I was supposed to do something to the fish beforehand. So that's why I was constantly asking the two of you if you did anything to the fish beforehand. And so now I know that when I make Moroccan fish, I salt my salmon in advance. And now it tastes really yum. But let me hear a little bit about you guys. Do you have any customs or anything that you want to share in reference to fish? You want to let people know, like when you set the Shabbat table, how do you, we have a separate plate, a separate fork, like what's that going on there? What do you want to share with us?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Jordana, another reason I choose salmon is because I actually like the skin of salmon. So when I go to the fish man, he takes the skin and he takes it off, and I tell him, please don't throw it out. So it doesn't look pretty, but I broil the skin and it's like chips. So for me, I think it's delicious, it's easy, and that's my salmon. As far as the table is concerned, it's really nice to, well, we have 3 dishes, a big one for the meat, a small one for the fish and salad, and then we have our bowls for the soup. And fish is separated. Your plate is separated, your fork is separated, everything is separated. So it's really pretty. For Shabbos, it's just beautiful to set this table, to put all the glasses, your crystal, everything is just so magnificent. And to share it with family and friends, it's the highlight of the week. This is what we all wait for.
Yes, and fish is such a special dish and such a special protein and such a special type of meat. Where it is more expensive than regular chicken or steak, and so you feel special eating it. And for us, for our family, we always have like the fish plates in the beginning of the meal, around the time when you're having your appetizers, and then you clear that out and you start with your main dishes. So yes.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone know how to say fish in Hebrew? Yes?
Dag.
It's a dalid
Dag.
and a gimel. A dalid and a gimel. A dalid is 4 in
4.
numerical value, and a gimel is 3.
3.
3 plus 4 equals
7.
7. So 7 equals the natural flow of the week. And that's a lot of what we're talking about, how fish is so natural, and it really brings in the whole week together. It completes our cycle, it completes the Shabbat meal. It really makes it something super, super special. Thank you, ladies. I even love your plates. Look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Libby has good taste.
Whose kitchen are you in? Whose kitchen is it?
Mine.
Oh, okay, Libby. And Libby's from Queens, everybody. We're in Libby's kitchen.
Yay, Queen.
Thank you, Libby. We have another word of inspiration from Dina. Dina from Brooklyn. That was quick, Lisa. Good for you. Dina, I love the headscarf. It's really, really beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful headscarf. Let's hear what do you have for us tonight?
Great. So fish is a creature that does not close the eyes. And there is a metaphor for Hashem. Hashem is always watching. He never closes the eyes. So same it says in Tehillim 121, behold, the guardian of Israel will neither slumber or sleep. Hashem is always watching us. Also, another interesting fact is Rabbi Rabster Rav said that the word Shabbos begins with the sound Shah. So to point to the fact that mundane things should not be discussed on Shabbos. Perhaps this is one reason why we should eat fish on Shabbos. Unlike any other kosher creature, fish is always silent. And that demonstrates that one should remain silent on Shabbos aside from speaking words of Torah and Tfilos. It also said that we eat 2 types of fish on Shabbos. Why is it good? Because words, wine, meat, and 2 times fish all combined together equal to the word Yerushalayim. And that's where all our blessings come from Yerushalayim. And a person should keep this in mind while eating fish, and because that will bring blessings for the entire week. Also, what's interesting is that God blessed 3 things consecutively. Fish was created on Thursday, man was created on Friday, and Shabbat was created on Saturday. So the 3 things are together, and it's a triple the blessing. I have a special connection to fish because I don't eat meat, and neither does my daughter. So in my house on Shabbat, everybody gets together, and fish is something that we enjoy together. So I'm very grateful to Project Inspire. Because of Project Inspire, I started to keep Shabbat. When I got back 5 years ago, it completely changed my life. So, but I recommend keeping Shabbat. It's amazing, especially nowadays with the world being upside down. You just disconnect for 24 hours to connect and be with the family.
Oh, thank you. Tina, I want to tell you, I loved that idea of the eyes. That was unbelievable. First of all, if I can say, do you have blue eyes? What color eyes do you have? Because your eyes look very unique on their own. I don't know, something about your eyes themselves are also very unique. And so then you start talking about eyes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's unbelievable. I noticed it also even in the morning when we did our little practice run. So I thought that was beautiful, beautiful concept, how Kadosh Baruch Hu, God's eyes are always watching us. His eyes are always open. Yes. I love that. I love that concept. Thank you so, so much. And I'm so glad that you see the beauty in Shabbos. And I really hope people are going to see more and more beauty to this day. And we're trying to really focus on the enjoyment of the day. Sometimes people get bogged down with what I can't do, what I can't do, what I can't do. This is all about what we could enjoy, and just that everybody could participate, everybody could be a part of it. So I wanna call on our next person for inspiration. Where is Leslie? Leslie, hi Leslie. After Leslie does her inspiration, I'm gonna just do a whole wrap up of everything and talk to you a little bit about Project Inspire. But Leslie, please tell everybody where you're from.
Sure, I'm from Long Island. And it was very interesting when I was asked to participate. I was asked to talk about the fish course, and I'm like, there's the fish course. So clearly, you know, I'm pretty secular, and so I was like, I don't cook fish, and I don't cook fish in my house because it's my house. My kitchen is narrow, my house is small, and it just, truthfully, it just stinks up my house. So I don't do it. But basically, you know, growing up, Shabbos wasn't really a thing in my house. You knew you were in a Jewish home, but Shabbos wasn't a thing. We didn't light candles, or you know, I am the youngest, so maybe my mother might have lit candles with the older siblings, but I don't remember it. We did have candles, but typically they ended up on the top of a birthday cake when we ran out of birthday candles. So, like I said, you know, the best recollection I can have about Shabbos as a young child was, you know, having grape juice and holly bread in nursery school, and it was, you know, it was cute, but it was ceremonial, not necessarily, you know, I wasn't necessarily capable of attaching the deep meaning to it. I said, basically, it wasn't until I had a family of my own that I felt the sense of urgency to bring the faith into my home, and trying to figure out how that it would be real and not just kind of willy-nilly. So I just kind of, you know, thought about my role as a Jewish mother, and I felt that given our lifestyle, at minimum, I could do lighting candles and baking challah. I have a very, you know, hectic and long commute, so baking it every week wasn't really going to happen. So I knew that every once in a while I would bake.
Tell them where do you commute to? Tell them where you go.
Like, interestingly, I work in Crown Heights, and I've been working there for 25 years. Right down the block from 770, I pass it every day, and it's kind of like, almost feels, sometimes I kind of feel like a stranger in a strange land, but at the same time, you know, we can all kind of coexist.
Correct.
So back in March, the day that it was determined that it was going to be our last day of work before distance learning and teaching, I teach in Brooklyn, something compelled me to go into the big marketplace on, on Kingston and East New York, and go buy 3 5-pound bags of cauliflower. This was not me. It's not that it was out of my comfort zone. It was just something I didn't do. But I'm like, you know what? I might have a hard time finding it. People were kind of scrounging. It was like everybody's running for toilet paper and everybody's running for flour. And, there are Orthodox communities near me in Long Island, but not the way it was on Crown Heights. The demands, was harder to get by me. So, I said, I just figured that maybe I would just bake. Lo and behold, I went through the process of baking and taking challah 3 times since quarantine started. And instead of, I have a small family, my children don't eat it. And instead of making 6, I made 12 little ones every time because only my husband and I eat it. It's this cute little thing. And then if I had a lot extra, I would either freeze it or give it to my family and my friends. But, as far as the candle lighting, it took literally 14 years of marriage for me to finish 1 box of Shabbos candles in the middle of a pandemic, because truthfully, I was home to do it. When you commute back and forth from Brooklyn on a Friday in the evening, you're not going to get home before Shabbos starts. So I'm like, well, I'm home. There's really no excuse. I can do it. I can bake it. I can light them. So I made a promise to myself moving forward that I would light candles every week, and I think I only missed 1 Shabbos. I'm trying to remember 1 Shabbos since quarantine where I haven't lit candles. And what I find very interesting is particularly about what Jordana said about making Shabbos your own. We're all from different practices of Judaism and different levels of observance, but with a mutual respect that, in my home, what we're capable of doing is lighting candles and baking challah. And hopefully in the future, we will, take it a step further. And so we're making it our own. And right now, it just basically signifies the end of a week of chaos into a family weekend where we can just kind of be together. Is it perfect? No, but it's ours and it's meaningful. My children may not be right next to me when I'm lighting, but they're in the room and they hear it and they see it. And I'm hoping that when they have their own children, that they're going to have these really fond memories of, yeah, my mom used to do that. Because at the beginning, when I started talking, I said, my mom didn't do that. So every, l'dor v'dor, from generation to generation, you can bring it, and it gets a little bit better, a little bit more meaningful every time.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so, so much, Leslie. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Share, beautiful. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I want to touch on something that when Esther and Libby were together, I had mentioned about the separate plate, because according to Jewish law, we don't eat fish with meat. There are communities where they'll have fish and milk together, but we do not have fish and meat together. We eat it on a separate plate. You could have at the same meal. It's not like milk and meat, where if I have meat and I have to wait a certain time afterwards in order to have a milk product. This is something totally different. I can have fish and then I could have meat. I could have meat, then I could have fish. We just don't put it on the same plate. We don't eat it together. And what's customary that you might find, I'm just trying to express to everybody, if you go to someone's house for Shabbat, you should be aware that if you have your fish on a plate, they're going to take it away afterwards and they'll take the pork away. And then usually you'll have a drink, something just to clear the palate in between the two. But there is no law that I can't have the other item one right after the other. Okay, so I just want to make sure that's clear for everybody. And I wanted to also talk about certain programs that Project Inspire is doing. They really have amazing, amazing programs. This one that we're starting now, called the Taste of Shabbos, is something more generic, general, that everyone could participate in and really get a feel of the different courses throughout a Shabbat meal. It should be so challenging. You should feel at ease with it. The next one next week is going to be about dips and salads, and we're going to run through an actual Shabbat meal week after week. But there's another program called Soul Food, I don't know if Aviva Brody or Rachel Berger on the Zoom right now. If they are, hi guys. They are doing something a little bit more in depth. There you're going to be hearing and getting emails and seeing little postings about what they're doing. It's going to be a small group where they'll take certain foods maybe and talk about really the Jewish Shabbat laws in depth. So it's really an interesting program. You can look out for it. It's, I think, for people who are ready for the next level, who really want to get into it, learn the laws, and really take this on completely. I think what we saw tonight, that we have all these different levels, all these words of inspiration. We have people that are keeping Shabbat. We have people that are thrilled that they're lighting candles for Shabbat. They're making challah. Anything we do, like I started off with, anything we do is special because Shabbat is special, and Shabbat is for all of us. All of us could catch it, just like the fish. We could all catch on to that holiness. I don't have to be this most righteous person on the face of the earth. I don't have to be the smartest person on the face of the earth. I don't have to be the most talented person on the face of the earth. But we, you and I, can all partake in the beauty of Shabbos. Just like it's easy to prepare that fish, it's easy to do. Just take on something, do something. As Leslie said, she got those candles going, and it just brings in that beauty. If you have kids in the house, it really emanates in the walls. They feel it. They see the importance of it. They see that you care. And when I light my Shabbat candles, I have my own daughter standing right next to me when I light the candles. Even though I was raised in a religious home, that's something I do right next to me every time I light these candles. There's other programs that we're doing. We have Erev Shabbat, Project Inspire has Welcoming Shabbat that's hosted by Charlie Harari. We have these Mind Flex programs throughout the week in the evenings, classes. There's other classes where we have breakout rooms. We have so much going on. If you're the type that you don't want to do this main Zoom, we got one-on-one learning going on, that you could be hooked up with somebody. They could partner you with someone if there's a topic that you really want to learn with somebody. You could do that too. Project Inspire is awesome. They are there for all of us. They just keep on inspiring us. Even throughout this pandemic, we were down, but they just took the reins and just kept on going and said, what can we do next? What's the next program? Where else? They have a team of workers that are awesome. And we have branches out there. We have Long Island, we have Manhattan, we have Arizona, we have Bergen County, New Jersey. We have Canada, Toronto. We have Queens, Brooklyn, Muncie. We're out there for you guys. So we're excited to be with you. I really, really, really hope you enjoyed this evening tonight. A shout out to everybody who joined us. We will, if I'm not mistaken, Aliza was going to post the recipes in the chat. I hope that will be done. You could have the recipes. If not, I guess you could email Project Inspire and they could have those recipes out. Usually there's a recording of the event, and you could usually find that within 24 hours on Project Inspire's website. So there you'd see the recipes as well. We're just so thrilled that you joined us. We hope that you'll join us for the next week's dips and salads. We'll hear about the importance of why we do dips and learn about little tips with the dips. And this was just awesome, and I thank you. We had over 170 people on this Zoom tonight, and I'm sure more are going to watch it once it's recorded. I want to thank you. Let's see. Anybody here that we want to give a shout out to? I see a lot of shouts out to me. I don't need the shout outs, but oh, someone asked, where is the program Soul Food going to be advertised? Great question. I don't have the flyer yet. I was told the flyer is going to be available soon. Just like you heard about this program, A Taste of Shabbos, you will see that information, I'm assuming, within the next few days or so. The Soul Food program will be out there, so look for it on Facebook, Instagram, through your email. I'm sure you're going to see more of that. And again, Aviva Brody and Rachel Berg, thank you for spearheading that program. Yeah, I think that's it. So thank you, Queens.
Thank you.
Thank you, guinea pigs. And
Thank you.
Thank
on.
you. We
So
enjoyed it.
Thank you.
This looked
Thank you,
delicious.
Jordana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Everybody be safe.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.